Good day everyone, I'm Neljan L. Supangan from BSB 3B. In today's video, we will going to answer that question through discussing by the perfectly given point. First is, we will explain the reproductive systems of the human male and human female. Second is to the anatomical characteristic of human female and female reproductive system. Lastly is the reproductive rules and responsibilities of the human male and human female. So if you want to know more, stay tuned and watch the video until the end. Thank you. The reproductive system of the human male and female. At this point, we have known that all of the major systems in the human body have each individual part and function. But one thing we have been taught about is how humans make more humans. But now let us take a look at the reproductive system so that we can better understand the incredible organs and their function. Thousands of people are born every day. So how does that work on the analytical level? Of course, most of us have a pretty solid idea about this process since we are in the level of adolescence. As this activity is intimately tied to sex drive that begins at the reproductive systems. The same way that we have looked at all the others so that we can better understand these incredible organs and their function. When examining the reproductive system, the first thing to mention are the primary sex organs. These are also known as gonads. And the interesting thing with this is that unlike the lungs or the hearts or the livers or the stomach, which are all found in every human, these are organs which depend on the sex of the person. The male gonads are called the testes and the female gonads are called the ovaries. The purpose of the gonads is to secrete several different sex hormones and also produce sex cells, which are called gametes. We may recall from the biology series. The gametes are haploid cells that are the reproductive of meiosis rather than the diploid cells also around the rest of the body, which are the reproductive mitosis. Otherwise, as we recall, the gametes produced in males are sperm cells, and the gametes produced in females are egg cells. When a sperm and egg meet as the of sexual intercourse, fertilization can result, which leads a zygote, embryonic development of human being. But the primary sex organs are not only components of the reproductive system. So there is a lot more to discuss. There are also accessory reproductive organs. These include a number of ducts and glands, as well as the external genitalia. Since the reproductive system is the only system that varies dramatically between males and females, it is best to examine each separately. So, let's start with the female reproductive system. As we said, the primary sex organs in males is the testes, which is where testosterone is produced. And these are housed in a sac of a skin called scrotum, which is divided by midline called septum. It is here the sperm are produced, which may seem like vulnerable place to store this critical asset. But the lower temperature external to the body is ideal for sperm production. Each testis is surrounded by the Utanica albuginea, followed by the Utanica vaginalis. Inside the testis is divided into ovaries which contain colloid seminiferous tubules. And these are where sperm is made from spermogonic cells, a process called spermatogenesis. These tubules carriage to form a straight tube that leads to the wet testis. From here, sperm will then move through a system of ducts, starting with the epididymis, where they are stored until ejaculation during a sexual act. When this happens, sperm cells move through the vad deferens, the ejaculatory ducts, and eventually moving into the urethra, just like urine at the end of the urinary system. In doing so, it leaves the penis, which is copulatory organs whose purpose is to deliver sperm to the female reproductive tracts. And together with scrotum, this make up to the external genitalia of a female. The penis contains 3 cylindrical shafts of erectile tissue, which covered by dense fibrous connective tissue. The erectile tissue is spongy, connecting smooth muscle and vascular spaces, and when these spaces fill up with blood during sexual arousal, the penis will enlarge and harden, as status called erection, which enables penetrations. Beyond the gonads and external genitalia, there are also accessory glands. These are the seminal glands, prostate, and bulbourethral glands. Starting with the seminal glands, this eat off the surface of the bladder and produce the fluid called semen. This is not to be confused with sperm, as there are no sperm called produced here, but during ejaculation, sperm cells will mix with the semen in the ejaculatory ducts, and the semen will enhance sperm motility or fertilizing ability. It does this through a mixture of hormone and other compounds that suppresses the immune response in the female's reproductive tract, destroy bacteria, and help sperm stick the walls of the vagina and prevent drainage. Semen actually makes up the majority of the ejaculate by volume. The prostate is a small gland that encircle the urethra near the bladder. The purpose of the prostate is to contract during ejaculation in order to allow prostatic secretions to enter the urethra and join the ejaculate and active the sperms. Lastly, the bulbourethral glands. Sit near the prostate and produce a mucus that lubricates the gland's penis or head of the penis during the sexual arousal. Let us move on to the female reproductive system, which is quite a bit involved. As we mentioned, the female gonads are called ovaries. Here, the female gametes are produced, which are egg cells or ova, as well as the sex hormones estrogen and progesterone. In addition, there are accessory ducts, which are the uterine tubes and the uterus. There is also the vagina and the external genitalia of the female. The ovaries are built like testes, though they are inside the body, surrounded by fibrous utanica, alvonidia, followed by a germinal epithelium held in a place by various ligaments and supplied by ovarian arteries. An ovary has an outer layer called the cortex and the inner layer called the medulla. In the cortex, we see sacs called follicles, which each of which houses an immature egg called an oocyte. And the production of matured egg cells is called oogenesis. When a primordial follicle matures, it becomes a vascular follicle with a cavity called an atrium. This follicle will the fluid out of the surface of the ovary, allows it to inject the oocyte, and this event is called ovulation. This will then enter the uterine tubes or fallopian tubes, which have section called the isthmus and apula and fundivulum, which bears projections called fimbriae. Fertilization will appear at same point along the fallopian tubes, which end at the uterus, also known as womb. This fertilized egg retains it in the uterine wall and nourishes it through fetal development. The uterus has a rounded top region called the fundus and narrow neck at the bottom called the cervix. With each cervix canal, the wall of the uterus is quite thick. The comprises of 3 layers. First, the perimetrium, then the bulky myometrium made of smooth muscle, and then the endometrium, which lines the uterine cavity of lumen, going through the cervical canal, which reach the vagina, the copulatory organs for the female, which receives the penis during the intercourse. Further out, we are arrived at the external genitalia, collectively known as the vulva, which consists of the man's pubis, skin folds called labia majora and labia minora, the clitoris, the vestibule. Also qualifying as part of the female reproductive system are the mammary glands found in the breast, which are similar to sweat glands, but they start to produce milk during pregnancy. Before a baby is born, which breast has a ring of pigmented skin called areola, from which a nipple protrudes. Each mammary glands contain lobes separated by fibrous connective tissues and fats, which themselves contain smaller units called lobules, which contain structures called alveoli, which produce milk. This milk is transferred to lactiferous ducts, which leads to a lactiferous sinus, and this is where milk collects when a mother is nursing. That's all. I hope you learn more, and thank you for watching the video until the end. I hope you learn more. That's all, and God bless.